Hello, everybody. Welcome to our fireside chat. Not what I asked for, the unexpected gifts of brain injury. We are the Brain Injury Advisory Council of the Brain Injury Association of America. All eight of us have sustained brain injuries, and we come to you from across the country, all of us using our experiences as brain injury survivors to share our experiences and to help other brain injury survivors on this difficult, long journey that is brain injury. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that might sound a little odd to some of you, the gifts of brain injury. Like, really? Brain injury? Gift? Those are two words that you don't necessarily expect to hear in the same sentence. But we know from our long years of living with brain injury, collectively as a council, we have something like 130, 140 years collectively of living with brain injury. And in our experience, we know that with the struggle, with the pain of brain injury, can also come gifts. So we wanted to come together to talk about that experience. So first, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Carol Starr. I am one of the co-leaders of this council. I'm from Maine, and I have been living with brain injury since 1999. I'm going to ask fellow co-leader Kelly Lang to introduce herself.
I'm Kelly Lang. I'm from Virginia and I've been living with brain injury since 2001.
All right, the next person is Kaz.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kaza Marie. I sustained my brain injury in 2017. I'm a speaker, artist, writer, disability advocate, and I'm so pleased to be able to speak with you this afternoon.
Josh.
Hey everyone, Josh Kirschmeyer. I live in New Hampshire and I've been living with a brain injury since 2003.
Stacia.
Hi, everyone. I am Stacia Bissell. I'm speaking to you from Western Massachusetts, and I sustained a brain injury in 2011 from a bicycle accident.
And Kelly P.
I'm our second Kelly from Virginia, and I'm Kelly Pokrivka, and my brain injury was in 2013.
And Darcy.
Hi, I'm Darcy Keith. I'm from Indiana, and I've been living with brain injury since 1991.
And Angela.
Hey y'all, I'm Angela Lee Tucker. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I've been living with a brain injury since 2008.
So we want to begin by leaning right into the challenging nature of this topic, the gifts of brain injury. So by talking just for a few minutes, some of us about thinking back to when our own injuries were new. During those first few months or years, if you heard this topic, the gifts of brain injury, what would you have thought? I see Kelly shaking her. I see some heads
Yeah,
shaking.
absolutely not.
Yeah, I would have hated
Tell me
it.
more, Kelly.
Um, it felt that everything that I expected for my life, it sort of felt that it was taken away. I only saw the losses, and even some of the gifts that I was able to find later on required those losses to happen at first. So I think if I heard someone talking about the gifts of brain injury, I'd be like, cannot relate to this.
I would have said, show me the effing gifts. I'm a widow. I lost my home. I lost my career. Where's the gift in this?
Mhm. I would not have had many positive things to say either. I was depressed. I was isolated. I was in physical pain. I was confused. I was fearful of my future. I was lonely in my recovery because my friends and family didn't get it, and some of my medical team didn't even get it. So I would not have highlighted any gifts.
I think I would have had the opposite experience. I think I was in such a dark and negative space at that time and had such little information about what I was experiencing, what I could expect, that I feel like I really would have benefited from having something like what we're doing right now to say, okay, yes, it is really dark. It is really difficult. There's forward and backward motion, but there are some unexpected gifts. And not just for myself, but for my family as well, who was going on that parallel journey to be able to say to them, like, yes, it's really negative and bad for me now, but there are positive things that will come out of this or could come out of this.
Kaz, I think you bring up such an important point. I know that I didn't meet any other brain injury survivors until it was like a few years into my journey. So there was nobody for me early on saying that, yes, it could be possible to find some gift. So, like so many of us, I was alone, in my journey early on, feeling lost and confused and afraid. And that idea of gifts was like, yeah, no, this has ruined my life.
Mm.
How could I possibly find any gifts in that? But yet, I think I think many of us would say we have now found those gifts. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this fireside chat if we had no gifts to share.
True. And I think it's important to talk about how long that process took for each of us. And it's a different process for all of us, and it takes a different amount of time. And we all like develop different gifts out of this journey. So let's do a show of hands just to show how long do you think it took you to find some gifts? Not all the gifts, but maybe just even just one gift. How many of it took 1 to 2 years? Okay. And 2 to 5 years, I would say I'm in that group. Okay. 5 to 8 years. Okay. That's all of us, I believe. And then some people it might take longer. It just depends. It depends on, how your recovery is. It depends how, what connections you have. I think, meeting you both, Carol and Kaz, you both mentioned about meeting other survivors. I think that helps a lot in having other people who've been through a similar experience, because they're not never the exact same, helps us to realize some of the beauty in this. Um, and does anyone want to share what was challenging about discovering those gifts? I mean, for me, I think what was the hardest part is I was taking care of my 3-year-old daughter who had also sustained a brain injury. So I had no time to think about me. I had no time. I mean, I was so focused on her. And I also took a long, like we were saying, it took a long time to meet other people. I kept having the words of the doctors in my head, like, we don't know. We don't know if she'll wake up. We don't know if she'll talk. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. And that just was all consuming. So, did others want to share about their discovering their gifts, like what that looked like for you?
I think
So
I
for
go ahead.
Sorry. So for me, I was in college when I had my brain injury, and that was back in 1991 when there was no internet, no way to communicate, hey, there's a survivor meetup or talk on the computer. So it was very lonesome and isolating. So for me, going to college again was my outlet to learn about my gifts. And I learned in college some of the tools that allowed me to be successful, and that was becoming more organized. So that was a gift that I received from my brain injury because I had to learn, if I had a goal, which was a college degree, I had to learn to be organized. I had to learn tools that allowed me to be successful. So that was one of the gifts that I had received.
I think
Sounds like a perfect gift.
a lot of depression in the beginning years of my brain injury, and I had never experienced that before. And I kept trying to find gifts, and I felt so guilty, and I really hated myself because I knew that I did have those gifts, and I had my family, and I had so much going for me, and I couldn't put that together that it was still okay to feel crappy and be like, yeah, this is not good. And I just felt so guilty about not feeling more grateful.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
like for me, it wasn't like a gift just popped out. It was more, slowly developing over time. Like I was also in college when it happened, and then I had to drop out, and I went through a lot of,
Mhm.
forgetting things, short-term memory issues, depression, like self-doubt. But then by like going back and uh, eventually like being able to complete classes and, get my degree back and then get some success, then realizing like, okay, you can achieve things, you can do things, you have to do things differently, and you might need to forge new paths. But then that also kind of like the gift side of it was you you're always exploring and you're more curious and you're more adaptive to find things how to get them done. Whether maybe it was easy before and it's hard now, or
Right.
maybe you could do it one way, you got to do something else. But in the
Mhm.
greater perspective of things, like you're, or at least for me, like more curiosity, more exploration, more like I'll give it a try because I think I can do it now. It took a long time to get there, but I'd say that's a gift now.
I wanted to piggyback on that, Josh, because you talked, I mean, I hear a lot of conflict and contrast that you're speaking of, and I felt the same exact way. What was challenging about discovering the gifts from my brain injury was that each gift was sort of a reminder of something else that was lost.
Mm.
And, for example, like my free time to explore interests and hobbies because I was no longer working meant also that I had lost my career that I'd worked so hard for and went to school for. And, along those lines, I could finally rest with that free time and hopefully recover more. Um, but that brought about financial fears from not working and isolation and loss of purpose and loss of a social life from work. And so it was really hard to look at those things as gifts at first. And then slowly over time, they kind of crossed, and then the gifts that they were started to really be appreciated more.
Yeah, they are gifts that are wrapped up in loss.
Mm.
That I know for me, what was challenging was coping with that loss. That loss of my career, that loss of my hobby, that loss of who I was. That until I was able to start turning away from who I used to be and began to focus on who I am now, I couldn't see the gifts. So that was one of the challenges, was learning to turn away from the past and turn towards the present and the future as a new me. That was challenging. So we've kind of danced around this, but resistance, that it is pretty common, I think, among survivors to resist finding gifts in brain injury. So we just wanted to do a quick hand poll. How many of us did resist finding those gifts within brain injury? Yeah,
Two
so
hands. Two hands for
yeah,
Angela.
yes, I could raise two hands on that. I think I was the poster child for nope, I am going to fight my way back to who I was, and it didn't work.
Right. Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It would almost meant that acceptance, that, if we didn't resist, it would mean acceptance, and we'd have to move forward when all we wanted to do is go back
mhm,
to what we knew.
mhm. Yes, I'm
I at
curious, those who
first,
didn't resist, about what that was like.
Mm. So for me, actually, in a sense, I think my resistance actually came from a place of toxic positivity. Um, I was looking for the gifts, but as Kelly mentioned, I was not feeling all the feels and going through the process. So I was saying I was looking for the gifts, and I was looking for the gifts, but because I automatically tried to put a positive spin on everything, it was almost like skipping a step. It was almost like a fake sort of acceptance of the gifts. So I think my toxic positivity actually ended up being um, a form of resistance to finding the gifts.
That's interesting.
Very
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, for me, I think it was just because, again, my focus was not on me. My focus was on my daughter, and it was on trying to maintain some sort of semblance of normalcy for my family. And I also don't feel that I'm fully a different person. I know some people feel like they're a new person after their brain injury. I don't feel that way. I think there's different parts of me that are different, but me as a whole is not different. And so I think I have a little hard time deciding, ciphering that out. So that's why I don't think I resisted it as much.
And I think that the difference in our responses, it shows there is no one path
Oh,
through
Here,
this.
here.
No one right way to say you must find gifts, you must find them in this way. We're all
This
different
timeline.
people. We
Right.
have different lives, different responsibilities, that everybody's path is going to be unique. Everybody's timeline is going to be unique, and that is okay. So if people are listening to this thing saying, oh, I can't do this. I thought for a long time, I cannot do this. I can't possibly find gifts. I did. I didn't think I could, but I did. Just wherever you are, if you're watching this, know that things can change, that you can move through kind of wherever you are, that things can get better. You may still have a brain injury, but things do indeed change over time. So does anybody want to share a specific brain injury symptom that you have over time been able to find a gift within. Can share whatever the symptom is and whatever the gift might be. Go ahead, Angela.
Mine, mine was distractibility. That was a big issue for me. And the gift that came with that is that if you were speaking to me, you got my full and undivided attention because I was a multitasker. I was wheeling and dealing, but now I'm a single tasker. And I still really focus on the person in front of me to hear what they're saying and share. So that was a gift that this injury gave me.
I like that. Fatigue and stamina for me is similar. I'll just liken it in some way, try to find a parallel here, but I'm more in the moment because I'm slowing down because of if I have stamina issues on a certain day from overdoing it the day before or anything, I have to be more in the moment. And I was also a type A racing all the time. And now I'm forced to slow down, be in the moment. I take a walk, I build a puzzle or whatever, and I never would do anything like that. So,
Yeah, mine is similar that I don't like that I have to rest every day, but it has forced me to slow down. I joke that brain injury turned me from a type A person to a type A minus person.
So mine is similar to Angela's, that I have trouble with short-term memory sometimes. And I'll like, let's say, for example, walk out and like, where's my car in a parking lot? And it's not that I didn't, or didn't remember where it was, but I didn't pay attention to where I parked it. So a lot for me is finding the gift is I pay more attention to details now. So it could be parking your car, it could be in a conversation, it could be on your job, it could be wherever, but paying more attention is the gift that came to me from my short-term memory problems.
mhm.
Mine is similar. To what was previously spoken about the slowing down aspect due to the physical pain associated with my brain injury. I think back to my time before the injury, and the pace that I was going at that time was not tenable. I think that if I had continued with that pace, I would probably still at this point in my life be in a negative space physically. So the fact that the pain forces me to slow down has been an unexpected gift that has been very beneficial. I'm trying still at this point, after all these years, to still try to learn not to keep trying to push it so far. But again, the aspect of the brain injury forces me to do that. So that was a gift.
Does anyone want to share any gifts that you have found within the whole experience of brain injury, looking at the big picture, of things that you have learned about yourself or things that you now look at as a gift?
I
Yeah,
think
like one
from,
thing.
Go ahead,
go ahead,
Josh.
Sorry.
Josh.
Yeah, one thing for me, and I think we've all talked about, everyone has their own journey and and path and uh but it's just the overall like gratefulness for the people and the journey of your new life. Uh, you know, like was mentioned, like you kind of getting a fresh start when this happens. It doesn't always seem like it's a fresh start, it's a new start. But you're on a different path. And the more that you can accept that and forge that new path and embrace that, and all the people and all the good things that are on that path, like that's like the what I'm grateful for, and that's like the gifts that I'm like seeing from it. But it took time to get that perspective.
Angela, were you going to say something?
My favorite gift, my biggest gift from this is community. All of you. What I wouldn't have in my life if it weren't for these tragic stories. My support group that I'm going to see a little bit later. The community has been the greatest gift for me.
I think for me, because my injury wasn't diagnosed right away, it was the gift of having an injury while also taking care of my daughter who had an injury and being able to understand a little bit about, even though our injuries were very different, as all our injuries are different, I can understand a little pieces of her injury. And it's actually brought us closer as she's gotten older, that she can say, I have this, symptom, do you, and what do you do to, and so and it opens up conversations. So I look at that as the gift, and I was the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes,
For me, I
yes.
think
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Darcy.
For me, I think empathy is probably the biggest gift that I received from this because all of our journeys are different, but we're very empathetic. So, like when we're advocating on Capitol Hill and we have a long day and we have a meeting with a legislator, or or you go to the grocery store and you know what effort it takes to do something like that. We're very empathetic with one another and we understand a little bit more about each other's challenges and battles.
Mhm. And this question is kind of related to those gifts from the big experience about the rewards. What have been some of the rewards of those gifts?
Mm.
Well, I'd like to like I'm summing up what everybody just said, and many of you spoke about relationships and the people you've met with brain injury and working in the brain injury community and having that empathy that comes from like all of that. And I would say that one of the rewards for me was that it has been healthier relationships because I'm meeting people who are with brain injuries, so many. I've met amazing, resilient people who have been working so hard at redefining and improving their lives and getting healthier. And, I've met them through support groups, either attending a support group or running a support group or coaching people or speaking to an audience of survivors. And so the rewards of some of my closest friends are those living with brain injuries because we get it. We get
Yeah.
it. And they're heroes, really. Yeah.
I would say mine is very similar to that, both this question and sort of the last question. I really stopped being an option for, a convenience friend because my availability was not convenient at all. Um, and obviously it was incredibly painful going through it as, so many people who you thought would be there, forever, you lost. But then not only were you able to see the people who really were going above and beyond to make sure that you were still included and still taken care of, and then yeah, the people you met afterwards along the way and had all these great stories and great empathy and great kindness. Yeah, losing people was very tough, but finding the people who really will stick with you through anything was the greatest reward.
I think it causes us to be pickier with who we choose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen.
We
I think
find
I'm a
the
better
ones that,
person
yeah.
than I mean, not that I was a bad person before, but I think that having gone through this, and well, still going through this, but the pain, the suffering, the loss, it has given me a wisdom, an empathy, a perspective that I would not have had before. And I don't like the reason that I had that I that I developed these things, but I like the result, of it. Um, and I think that's a reward. I guess a gift and a reward are kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Do any of you have advice for other survivors who might be thinking about this now, like trying to find out what their gift is or trying to refine that for themselves?
My advice would actually be to not listen to the advice.
That's great.
I'm being
That's
a little
great.
facetious there, but truly, it's really because you're getting, especially initially with your injury, you're getting so many different opinions, friends,
Oh,
family, medical providers, but you are truly the expert in your own experience, in your own mind, and your own body. So it's not to say completely, don't listen at all to other people, but it's okay to throw out the advice that you don't feel is going to be relevant and is going to work for you. So my advice is don't listen to the advice.
Love that, Cass.
And
as a
how does
follow-up,
anybody follow that?
as a follow-up, I would say trust your gut. Trust you know what's right for you, and
Yeah.
only you know, even though you might have five doctors telling you something different, you know what's going to work for you, and you can still trust that. That didn't disappear. And you need to, hone in on that.
Yeah,
And
I
I
would
think,
say
go ahead, Josh.
just keep going. Like don't stop, don't give up. You're gonna have tough days, uh, and you'll go through tough, uh, you know hard things, but you can do it. And the more that you can keep pushing yourself and you can believe in yourself and you can just keep going, then the more that you can achieve, the more that you can embrace your new life, your new path, your new journey.
And building on what Josh just said, if you're in a place where you cannot see those gifts, that's okay. I know for me, when I was in that place, I did believe that they were out there. I just wasn't quite sure what they were, and that's an okay place to be in. If you can't see the gifts, sometimes just the believing that they're there, the possibility of them is something that can help get you through. That when you're ready to find them, you will find them, and that maybe what you need in the meantime is just to believe that they are indeed out there for you. Um,
And my advice would be to try to set yourself up to be ready and healthy for when those gifts arrive so that you recognize them.
Mm.
So just keep working at what, like Josh was saying, just it's going to be okay. Just keep plugging away and try to make yourself as ready and healthy as you can.
And
My
everyone feels,
advice, go ahead,
I was going to
Angela.
say, that's okay. Everyone feels down and out at some point during their healing journeys. And personally, I'm experiencing a particularly hard point right now because there's been a lot of loss in my community. So I've been feeling adrift and low in the doldrums. But I know for me, the gift of community I've found will help guide me through this hardship. So another gift from the brain injury is the knowledge that I'm strong and I've survived some of life's toughest challenges. So when I'm struggling with periods of sadness or depression, I know that I will have the strength and determination to work through these and come out the other side. I remind myself, this too shall pass. This is temporary.
For me, my advice would be something that Josh and Carol both mentioned, is that you never know when that gift is going to come. So my advice would be to keep an open mind because sometimes that gift may be staring us right in the face, and
Mm.
we may be a little resistant to that gift. But then keeping an open mind will allow us to accept that gift or to look at it from a different point of view and think, "Wow, that is something that I can entertain." And that gift could enrich your life immensely. So just kind of keep an open mind.
And I think in closing, finding gifts is hard. I mean, we've all talked about it, that it's really, really hard. And, I look at it kind of like the ocean and the waves, that your gifts are sometimes going to ebb and flow, that you're going to find new gifts along the way. They're going to build upon each other and, like almost like building blocks. And like Darcy said, embrace those gifts
Mhm.
and try to be open-minded and try to take them in for what they are. They might not last forever. You may not look at it being super organized as a great gift if you become too super organized. Um, but just try to be open. Try to realize that there are good things on the horizon and just keep that mindset and build your self-confidence.
Thank you for watching um, our discussion about the gifts of brain injury. We hope that it's been helpful. And we will see you for our next fireside chat, whenever that may be. We don't know, but we will see you then. Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, thanks for joining us.